Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. We got an awesome panel. Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. How are we, Harvey?
Here he is. We got Lisa Lawson, John Kolb. Hey, guys.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Just getting it all zoomed in here. Of course, we guys always do the Zoom broadcast. And Stephanie Sacco's joining us from Michigan Power Brokers. Stephanie, my favorite real estate agent lately because we are jamming. We had a little closing this week, was a lot of fun, and we got lots of fun stuff to share with you. Hey, Steph, good morning. All right. From the steam's coming off Cass Lake. It's probably coming off of Lake Orion, too, out your way, and all the lakes. It's definitely fall out there, and home buy season is just going to probably go all the way through at least the holiday season. So, Stephanie, home purchases behind the scenes, so much going on to get these transactions done. I told you to give me a break on the next one. Make it a 45-day closing, please. But hey, we can get them done in 30. We got that one done in about 31 days, I think.
No, for sure. I know I'm always pushing the limits, trying to get those offers accepted with a quick closing date. So thanks for coming through for me.
Well, as Harry and our whole staff knows, it's quick closing dates are great on purchases, but a lot of the sellers, Stephanie, and there's just no inventory. I mean, everyone needs to have this plan. Like, where are you going after you do sell your house? And of course, some of the houses are flips, or some families have already moved out and fixed up these homes. But it's hard to get the sellers into a new house because of the lack of inventory out there.
You're totally correct, and I'm finding it's so much more exciting to write an offer where it's a 45-day close. And then you give those sellers 30 to 60 days to move. It's calming everything down. So while the market's crazy, we are having that little bit of a calm effect now because we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I like that. A little bit of that summer push. With the pandemic push, it's been nuts. We turned the corner a little bit with fall just creeping in, but I don't know. We always talked about it even last week. We don't necessarily see a slowdown maybe until the holiday, maybe a couple days before Christmas kicks in. There actually be a slowdown for a couple weeks. But last year, before the pandemic, January 2020 and February 2020, we were selling a lot of homes.
Oh, for sure. We get done with the holiday season, and oh my God, that's all we want to do is house shop. Even though it's snowy and cold, it doesn't matter. Those real buyers, they want to get out there. There's no doubt. People are going to be looking this January and February for sure.
Yeah, Harvey, we've been in touch with a lot of our realtor partners, and I'll be going out to open houses tomorrow, driving around the neighborhoods. I've been talking to our realtor partners. I'm going to visit what they've got going on the weekend. And the indication will be, as the weather turns colder, as Stephanie knows, if people are out there shopping and buying and looking at homes, those are the serious buyers, right? If you have your home listed, you're serious about selling. And if you have traffic in your open houses, you're serious about buying. So the next few months, and always around the holiday time, there's a natural slowdown. But I've got a feeling this year, with everything that transpired at the beginning of the year, with Michigan being shut down to the real estate community, I think you're going to see a lot of traffic late in the year. And that's really what we're looking at right now.
We lost Harvey, but yeah. I
mean, no, go guys. I'm just texting in something to help Stephanie with the volume here. Here you go.
All right. Yeah. Hey guys, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great end of the year. It's just like we talked about on our podcast, Harry and Lisa and Harvey. You know, we're going to see a busy fall. Maybe we'll have a shutdown around the holidays so that everyone can take a little bit of a break. But for the most part, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a big boom to the beginning of the year like it was last year. And, you know, all the experts say the rates are going to stay low. So, you know, let's just keep it rolling, keep doing the good stuff that we do, helping people out and getting them into homes.
Yeah, the inventory is definitely really interesting out there. These low rates are definitely in the foreseeable future. That makes sense. We got a lot of stuff going on, November election. But rates seem that they're going to stay at these historical lows. Many experts thinking about the time frame. We used to talk in time frame of days and things like that. Well, it could change next week. But now they're starting to talk maybe months and years. And again, with the election, we just have a lot of unknowns out there. We'll see how this pandemic treats us in the mortgage rate world. So definitely take advantage. We'll talk about refinancing this hour. Please give us a call, 248-539-9797. Always lots to share with you. If you're buying or selling a house, this is where you want to call and get some great information. We always talk about what's going on behind the scenes. Hey, Steph, what about a typical day in the life of a real estate agent now? You know, it's a combination. I saw you got a couple of new listings out there in constant communication, trying to get that house moved off the market. And you know what? Let's just really talk about that one. I noticed it because it was in my old subdivision. And without giving too specifics, we definitely call Stephanie and we'll tell you about it. But sometimes a house is listed, and whether or not it'll sell at that price, you can come in there and you can make an offer. Is that fair to say that there's really not an insult? Are there insulting people by making a little bit less of an offer, maybe on, to bring someone down to life?
I'd say the most fair thing to say is any house deserves any offer. Every buyer is at a different position in their buying process. And so somebody might walk in and have looked at 20 houses and they're looking for something very specific. So they see something like my new listing, which I would say in general, we price things price per square foot. But then depending on the lot and what's going on inside and the amenities that the house has incurred over years and years, that house then starts bumping up into price. It's been loved. It's been lived in. It's been added to. So it's not insulting to me as a realtor. But again, you're dealing with a lot of different sellers. So we got to take the emotion out, put your best offer in and move forward.
Steph, even like a house sits on the market too long, if a house payment in that one, Jill, let's just call it's a $600,000 house or more. If it stays on the market for 10 months and the house payment's $3,000 a month, people are carrying $300,000 or $400,000 mortgages on maybe a $500,000-$600,000 house. That costs them $3,000 a month over 10 months is $30,000. They got to start listening to the great advice a real estate agent gives them to get that house off the marketplace, because the cost of getting that house and carrying an expensive mortgage payment throughout the winter could be expensive also.
Well, you're also talking about a seller who's ready to sell. Not all sellers are actually so like when people come to you to get pre-approval, they're ready to go, they're raring. When sellers put their house on the market, especially after living there and raising children in their home, they're not always in a huge hurry. So the problem is they might not mind carrying that extra house payment because it takes a while sometimes to get. That's the challenge of being a realtor, is getting buyers and sellers ready to be exactly where they think they want to be. But you're right, carrying that mortgage, you have to be realistic.
But more often than not, when sellers are not ready to sell, they haven't bought a new home already. So, in the scheme of things, with Harvey's scenario, if somebody's not willing to sell and they're going to just hem and haw and look for the best deal, they don't really have a house to move into just yet. And, if they have that carrying cost in the old house, that means that they'll have a carrying cost in the new house when it exists. So it's really not something that they really have to think about as a loss, because odds are that type of seller doesn't have a new house yet, because they haven't really vested and got into. When you have that new house, that's when the pressure's on, like Harvey's saying. You don't want to have two mortgages with that extra carrying cost. But right now it's a different world. Houses aren't staying on the market for 10 months unless something is completely wrong with them. They're flying off the market. And, it's just adapt and overcome with our market, and make sure you're making the adjustments as a real estate agent, as a lender, to make sure you're getting things done the right way.
Yeah, we have such an affordable area here. I was over at my cousin's house, a younger cousin who bought in a great area. Younger families are moving in, and his friends want to move in the subdivision. And it's so competitive out there. They cannot get a house on the market. There's nothing on the marketplace. So now they've resorted to the old fashioned, Stephanie. They're sending letters out to every homeowner, even trying to find a pocket listing, trying to find anyone in the future who might be considering selling their house so they can move there with their friends, and they want to all raise the children together and make a lot of fun. And again, that happens, Stephanie. Buyers just get zero down. If it's not that subdivision, it's definitely that school district.
That's funny that you brought that up. My whole subdivision, including myself, just received a letter like this. But what's bizarre to me is there are like 5 houses for sale right now that they could purchase, but yet they sent this letter. So of course, being a realtor, I call them and I'm like, what's going on? Have you seen these houses in here? Are you represented? Let's get you into my sub. Come on. And it was interesting because they called each listing agent and each owner. It's crazy.
All right, we're going to talk all about that craziness on how to buy a house in this competitive marketplace. There's just a lack of inventory out there. We talked about it last week, 35 to 40% down in some areas. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Your calls at 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
stay outside. It's actually going to get up to 53, 54 degrees, and that's the sun shining now. Get out there, enjoy this beautiful fall weather. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Show, always giving you information on buying and selling houses. We got Stephanie Sacco on the line, Michigan Power Brokers, and the Capital Mortgage staff, Lisa Lawson, Harry Glanz, John Kolb, myself, Harvey Frieden, always trying to give you some great information and insight as we are going through this crazy 2020 pandemic home buying season. It has been outstanding. I don't know. I don't think any of us really saw it coming. We felt the buildup. We felt the lack of inventory, and then boom, it's just been one of the best summers going through a pandemic ever. When we see it continuing with these low interest rates, Lisa Lawson, we were starting to talk, and we're going to get into it, some of the things that go on, good and bad, in transactions. And we'll talk about some of the housing things that you got to look out for. But at least mortgages, families still got to get themselves prepared because of the competition out there. As Stephanie and I are talking about, it's 30 or 45 days to closing. You pick it, but somewhere in between there, you got to be ready to close.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have to make sure you're down.
Yeah, this market is stoked right now. And with
Hey,
the low mortgage,
Harvey, to go ahead and expand on what Lisa's saying is time frames are very important, okay? Once something is pushed back, it throws off the entire progress of the transaction. So if the client doesn't get the documents and the inspection has to be put back, then the appraisal has to be put back, then all the verifications have to be put back, then the title company's closing schedule has to be put back, and everybody's busy right now. So what you're talking about are time frames that have to be met. And as soon as one or two people in the chain go ahead and have to go back on their time frame, who is left at the end to try to make everything work, Harvey?
usually the lender, but all parties.
The lender. So,
all
and
parties.
then you get 5 or 6 phone calls from everybody involved in the transaction back to the lender saying, why is this taking so long? No, it doesn't take long at the end. It starts at the beginning of the transaction.
Yeah. We actually think most buyers, when they go through a transaction with good communication, including recently with a few different buyers, first-time home buyers, and they're really shocked how many different moving parts there are. Steph, you know, even just to get a purchase agreement inked up, there's a lot of moving parts or some documents right at the beginning there. And then again, we got the earnest money deposit and the inspections. As we always are sharing the information with people, sort of to give them the knowledge and the confidence to move forward. Isn't it all about that communication up front to really make things work?
If we don't prepare the clients before they even get their pre-approval, it drags. And you guys are right. If we have to push the inspection, it pushes everything. And now this tight 30-day timeline, there's nothing we can do to stay within that. And I know I was just calling you. Like, everybody ends up calling and calling and calling. And if it's the client that's delayed on one little thing because they didn't think it was important, it throws the whole thing off. So it's super imperative to be prepared.
Hey, you want to get into the craziness called home ownership? We'll show you how to do it. That's having a professional team smoothing everything out for you. But the appreciation has just been outstanding. A Red Fin writer, Lily Katz, actually wrote, I'm stealing a little bit from our article last night, a surge in appreciation in single family homes in August. The latest price growth was almost 12%. It's up there over 11.3%. Absolutely outstanding on single family homes. Condominiums lagging a little bit at 5.6%, but nothing to be ashamed about. If you don't want to cut your lawn and do any maintenance or anything, condo life living is fine and dandy. Of course, look out for the association fees and everything else involved. And that's one of the things, John Kolb, you and I always talk about affordability in this area, in this region, and specifically home ownership. And if you're going to pay that condominium association fee, $300-400, just to tell the first-time home buyers out there and that second buyer out there, that's a lot of buying power, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I mean, condos condos are tough, because you're not just buying into your unit, you're buying into the whole complex, right? So you got to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, and even if you do your due diligence on the front end, things can change if you stay there 10, 20 years. Over that time period, if there's a surge of investors that come in and purchase condos up in that complex, all of a sudden your complex can become non-warrantable. I'm a big advocate on telling people, hey, look, take that association fee and figure out what you don't want to do maintenance wise, and you might be able to hire it out on a house, because back in the day you didn't have to get insurance on a condo. Now you do. So the difference between homeowners insurance and condo insurance is really only 30, 40, 50 bucks a month sometimes. And add that association, the association dues in there, 150, 250, 350. Man, you can have someone cut your lawn for that. You can have someone shovel your driveway for that. And then all of a sudden you own your own property and you've got your own four walls. You don't have to share a wall with that annoying neighbor next door who, likes to stay up till 4 a.m. watching Cobra Kai on Netflix.
I don't know what show that is, but is that something you watched? I don't.
Hey, Cobra Kai, guys, you got to watch it. It brings you back to the 80s. It's good.
You're plugging shows. $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 house payments now. Stephanie, that gets you a $250,000 house. I mean, some variables, the interest rate, your down payment. Lisa knows the taxes on a property, but Stephanie, that is so competitive between $150,000 purchase price and $300,000. Those deals have to close in 30 days, and you really got to have it all organized. Tell us a little bit about that inventory and some of the things you've seen out there, and good or bad.
The inventory obviously is low. It's good though because it's moving, and then as it moves, more people get that idea. Let me list my house. My house is going to go quickly. Honestly, the problem in the market is getting buyers to understand what they have to do in the most competitive price point. It takes losing a few houses. It takes showing 20 houses. The amount of conversations actually that I have, and then I try to tag team with the lender so that we're all on the same page, so that the buyer doesn't feel like I'm trying to push them to put an offer in, even though I know this is a great house and it fits all of their needs. I need you sometimes to help back me up with how we structure an offer right now, so it doesn't look like I'm being a salesman. I'm here to help. I'm not here to sell a house. I'm here to help you find your dream and your next move. So sometimes it takes a while to get that buyer on track with what's going on in the market.
Hey, Harry, our buyers that are getting the kids out of the house, some of them are thinking about downsizing. Some families, Harry, are clientele, maybe closer to my age or above. They're looking at maybe downsizing, but some of them bought right and they're staying right where they're, right where they're at. You're not moving anytime soon. You bought a house that had a first floor master bedroom, and there's no reason to move. So that's really what's causing the lack of inventory. Harry, even our age group, let's say 50 and above, what are they looking for? What have some of your friends been calling you about, Harry, on some purchases across the United States?
Yeah, there are two things that people are doing right now. Either they're staying put and adding on to their home or redoing their house according to their lifestyle. Things have changed. COVID's changed them. Maybe they're getting up in age and they just want to improve the quality. Maybe, Harvey, like you say, they're putting in that pool, or they're building that extra room for an office, and they're staying put. Or what they're doing is they're moving to a ranch that has obviously a first floor master, and they're adding on to that, and they can put in the pool there and have their grandchildren over and make it really a compound for the family lifestyle that they want to live. So you're really seeing that. And right now, what we're seeing the most are people really catering to their individual lifestyles more than ever, whether it's a basement, whether it's adding on 200, 300, 400 square feet to their existing house, whether it's going ahead and improving their backyard, their recreational aspects of their house. People are spending more time at home and they don't mind it. That's what we're finding.
The public sector, the residential spending has been gangbusters for sure. 37% up. People are improving their homes. They're doing it the right way and sometimes the wrong way. Whether they're going to improve their home and hunker down and live their life out there, or they're going to, increase their house value. Steph, you get an expert eye in there. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about having that realtor go in there and give you that expert eye on some of the home improvements you need to make to get maximum out of that sale of your house. All right. 248-539-9797. We'll be back.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Real Estate Business Show. We're going to give you 30 minutes more. Then it's going to be some sports. Got some crazy U of M game coming up. Yeah, that's right. That overtime. Braylon Edwards game. I don't know, double overtime, triple overtime. That's coming up this afternoon. all sorts of other sports coming up. It's going to be all Lakers here. We'll get into some basketball, talking about Pat Caputo coming up with sports and social commentary. I don't even follow basketball, and I think I tweeted out or texted out last night that it's over. Look out for the Lakers. I don't see anything going on there, but lots of sports here on 97.1 after we take care of your house and have a lot of fun with mortgages and real estate. Stephanie Sacco joining us from Michigan Power Brokers. And we take your calls all morning long. If you want to join the show at 248-539-9797. If you're buying or selling a house, if you got a crazy story, we're going to talk about it. We got Spooktacular, the crazy bits of October, of course, and Halloween things. There are some scary things that go down when you don't know what you're doing when you buy a house. One of the things I wrote down last night, Stephanie, you might like this, even after you've got your offer accepted, the first night, you can drive by that house in the evening. You can take your dog for a walk in the neighborhood. You can ask neighbors. You can get out there, especially a day like today. If you're going to be buying in a neighborhood, why not go check it out?
I just had this conversation with my client when he was asking me about the neighborhood. And I said, honestly, that's for you to figure out. I said, come back here with your wife tomorrow. And I said, park your car, go for a walk, check it out this weekend. I said, you're going to get a great feel. Are there little kids? Are there people that you're going to dog walk your dog with? Take a peek. It's going to be amazing. And I said, do that now that you're new to the area because they're from out of state. So do that all over in all the neighborhoods. Let's take a few weeks. Let's calm down.
Yeah, I'd like that idea. Sort of take one step back and figure it all out and put your plan together. Some of the things that come out recently, and actually the government came out with some guidelines, the TRID rule. It's 5 years old as of yesterday, and it was to help consumers understand things. And John Kolb and Lisa, that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on, is really educating the clients. And, Harry Glanz, who actually was mentioned just in news from D Business 500, the magazine 2020, just came in all the top mortgage people here. And we've got a lot of them here in Michigan. And congratulations to Harry Glanz. Harry, I'll promote you. I just got the email came over and I saw it. So congratulations. Breaking news. One of the top 500, of course, mortgage people, influential business people in the area.
Yeah, a little bit of an honor. Individual honors don't really thrill me that much, but I'm pretty proud of that. But I'm proud of the fact that we've got a great team, been doing this a long time. I think they give awards to people that have been doing something for a long time, but the bottom line is that we've got a great team. Harvey, you've worked with us for over 25 years. John Kolb's on 23. Lisa's been with us a very long time. Becky, our whole team, we've got a great team. And what excites me is setting people up for success, setting people up with successful people like Stephanie, and making sure our clients are set up for success. And that's the most important thing to me. And it's a day by day, client by client thing that we formulated a great team to make sure that we take care of people. So yeah, individual honors are great, but you can't do it without a great team. And we certainly have a great team.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. That's awesome. And thanks for saluting all of us involved and helping with the success. And again, we're talking about consumers' education on all this. And whether you're buying a house or refinancing your house, that's what we strive on. Lisa, no doubt, this 5-year-old anniversary of TRID is really the TRID explaining the truth and the old truth in lending form, and then it converted over to the loan estimate. And even Stephanie and I brought it up, Lisa, at the closing, that you don't want any surprises a couple of days before closing. You want your numbers ahead of time. You got to be within a couple $100. Hey, John Kolb, though, one of those things about our documents, the family's buying a house and they get those documents, say, hey, Harvey, it doesn't show my earnest money deposit. Where's the deposit? Or the sellers are paying $2,000 or $3,000 in closing costs. How come I don't see it here on my initial documents?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, the initial documents are there to let you know what all the costs are, regardless of who's responsible for them. Does not have a lot of credits. Does not have a lot of your deposits. It's letting you know what you're putting in all in. And if the seller's picking up some fees, yes, those will be allocated the right way when it comes down to the closing disclosure for your closing. But for the loan estimate, somehow, some way, you're always paying for everything. So if you've got seller concessions, they're still letting you know what those costs are, even though the seller may be picking them up, because somehow, some way, you're still paying those costs, whether you're bumping up the purchase price to cover them. It's still something that they want you to know about. You know,
The key is
leading back to what you guys have all said about getting your documents. I've got a client right now that we couldn't get the initial closing disclosure out in time because they hadn't got their insurance in place yet. And guess what? It's going to push their closing back a little bit, and they didn't understand why. But we can't send that. If you don't get that initial closing disclosure, you still, once you e-sign it, you got 3 days that you have to wait, and we can't get those documents out if we don't have all your documents in for that we keep asking you for from the get-go.
Yeah, the documents and the process that's involved now is only 5 years old, so it's really some of the families out there that are refinancing their mortgages that haven't done it in over 5 years are like, what is all this stuff? It's a new way of disclosing documentation. It's so consumers can have a better understanding of what they're signing and all the fees involved in the transaction. Because even us in the industry, we know that there's some bad players, Harry. We're sorry to say it. There's bad players in a lot of industries. There's some still bad players out there. And that's why it's so important to deal with some local lenders here. And we think that'll keep your money in your pocket and, of course, keeping the economy moving here. Harry, bad players who hide APRs, take initial application fees, they're taking hostage money. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't show up on an APR.
Yeah, what they're doing is the Consumer Protection Act. We're really trying to protect the consumers from the bad players in the industry. And sometimes those rules, laws, and regulations actually can hurt a consumer, but it was because of all those bad actors that were doing crazy things. For example, on every refinance transaction, there's a 3-day right of rescission. That's to prevent people from going ahead and jamming closing documents down your throat, you making a hasty decision and going ahead and signing them, and then the transaction closes and disperses the same day. Well, no, on a refinance transaction, 3 days have to pass. You have to be able to allow a consumer a right of rescission, in other words, cancel the transaction within 3 days. It rarely happens because most lenders, Harvey, yes, there are some bad people out there, but most lenders follow guidelines and regulations. So, but there are some in there, like John mentioned, with the closing disclosure has to be sent out 3 days prior. Well, that's again, so people don't jam closing documents down people's throat and say, well, you got to close, you got to close. So listen, we've always done things the right way. We were ahead of TRID. We didn't miss a beat when all the new rules and regulations came out, because when you operate at a higher level, you don't worry about people that operate at a lower level. You just do what you do and you set people up for your success. And that's, we set our expectations are very high. Our clients' expectations are very high to us. And, we just try to meet them. You're not going to make everybody happy. As Stephanie knows, you can be the nicest person in the world. I'm sure she falls in that category. But there are some people you just can't make happy. That's just the way it goes.
Hey, those aren't fun. Stephanie, we said we were going to get into it. We were at the closing, and we always fun conversation. When's garbage day going to be picked up? How to file the homestead exemption forms and the property transfer affidavit. There's lots going on. And then always a funny or two story. You're telling me we know somebody out there that tell the story now. There's a little doll in the attic of this house. This is for Halloween, for all you people like a little spooktacular here.
So it began with the client didn't know until after they came to do her mold remediation. Sweet girl, bought this house. We had an inspection issue. It was the whole attic had to have mold remediation. It didn't kill the deal because remember, everything is fixable. So the sellers spend about $3,000 to get this attic free of mold, but it happens after closing. So the new buyer, who is my client, calls me and she's like, oh my God, do you know what they found up there? And I'm like, no, enlighten me, please. Turns out there's a picture in the corner sitting on a chair of a creepy little doll. And there's a candle. And apparently when the sellers had left, they had a little meeting, hey, let me tell you about my house. And hey, by the way, there's this stuff up there. Well, then the mold remediation people finally took a picture for her. And they're like, do you want us to move it? She literally said no. She's like, no, we're going to just leave it because I'm so scared of moving it.
Yeah, look, you never know what you're going to come across in a house. That's why, hey, look, they had to go in the attic to find the mold remediation. So that's why it's very important, a good reminder to do a very thorough home inspection again and find out what you can from the sellers. We talked about it before. Knowledge is everything, whether you're going to break down your mortgage knowledge, this house knowledge, Get out there and walk those neighborhoods. Find out as much as you can. We come back a little bit more of the secrets of buying a home. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Why not? Get out there and enjoy. Go buy a house. Call Stephanie Sacco. We'll get you an approval. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, a real strong approval. You can close, yes, maybe in 30 days, but maybe more like 45 days. We'll work it out for you. Making it lots of fun to buy a house here. And if you want to join the show in our last segment, 248-539-9797. Pat Caputo in the bullpen. It's going to be sports and social commentary. And then, of course, from Michigan football, a lot of fun here on 97.1 The Ticket. Sellers, don't scare people away. We're talking about some fun stuff. You know, check out your neighborhood, see what's going on. Things do look a little bit different in the wintertime. You know, people aren't out as much, so you don't have as many people to talk to. So get out there now. Also, team refinancing at all-time lows. We're just doing nothing but cash out refinances. Boy, oh boy, everyone is calling me. All of a sudden has a second mortgage that they need to consolidate, maybe even take some cash out. You know, we talked about this, putting money back into your house. Stephanie, if you're going to live there, make it nice. And more importantly, do those right improvements. Like with professional realtors, they come in and say, hey, this is time for doing the bathroom. Spend the money on the bathrooms and kitchens. And then what else? Some of the other areas.
So I actually have a client who just called me. He just called me regarding this young first-time buyer they just bought. And they're like, we're teetering between, should we do windows or should we do, the bathroom? And I said, well, let me go review the bathroom. And I said, number one, the windows are going to be energy efficient. We're going to keep the house warm. It's a huge ticket item. I said, you can put a Band-Aid on that bathroom and we can still sell it in a few years. Get a little granite, paint that cabinetry. The tile was beautiful, if I remember. So while I would love to have a new bathroom in there, the smarter choice is the windows.
Yeah.
But yet we have to be careful what kind of windows, because we don't want to improve for the area. Over improve for the area. We don't want top of the line windows in a starter home, but a really nice, efficient vinyl is perfect. So,
Lisa, you know a thing or two about home improvements and where to spend the money? Yeah. Johnny better be working on that six-pack stomach for sure. Now he has a professional
Hi, it's
workout.
Harry. I got hung up on.
Okay. He's representing us shaved head guys out there. I appreciate that. All right, lenders have tightened their standards a little bit. That's right. We want to make sure that after the pandemic that you're going to be able to afford it. There are some interesting things out there. Some businesses on the ropes. We don't know what the future is going to say. I mean, unemployment figures are starting to get a little bit better. But again, we're going into some unknown territory here with the election, with the winter cold months, and with this crazy threat, this pandemic could come back with some sort of second wave that can also maybe lock down things again. Again, we're still under generally a lockdown. I know I did announce last week, and I think that's still flying, that the theaters are open, I think on October 9th. So some of these things are opening up, but boy, oh boy, I haven't been out to a restaurant. My girlfriend, she doesn't want to go inside of a restaurant. So we've been outside and doing that type of thing, but it's colder out now. So, I should have had it earlier in the show. We call in with who's got the best space heater so I can find a nice place to enjoy somewhere out there tonight. But a lot of families, again, go out there and enjoy and get that knowledge behind you on home ownership. Stephanie Sacco, so much fun to work with you. Purchasing a home here, getting, you talked about it, even the appraisals out there, as we keep driving up the purchase prices due to the lack of inventory. Have you been seeing any trouble? Every time we bring up appraisals, I get jinxed. So I don't like bringing it up, but most of families, if they're going to overbid on a house, they have saved that extra $5,000 or $10,000. Maybe they can overbid and pay a little bit more out of their pocket to get the house that they want.
So overbidding is going to be a 100% guarantee if you're in that under $250,000 range. But then the overbidding is irrelevant if you don't back it up with some kind of an appraisal guarantee. It doesn't have to be a waiver. You don't have to waive the whole appraisal, but a small guarantee, $2,000, $3,000. If I give you $3,000 above the appraised value, should it not come in at our purchase price, it gives that seller that security along with that strong pre-approval from Capital Mortgage that now we're on the equal playing field here. I want to buy, you want to sell. I'm not afraid of appraisals. It seems to be everybody else's.
You're talking about expertise in there. I mean, again, that's the language of a real estate agent who's been around a while. We're talking about negotiation on the purchase agreement to sort of break down the appraisal and say, look, I'm willing to pay, not $10,000 over appraised value, but maybe $3,000 or $5,000 over appraised value. the sellers get a really comfortable feeling that they know they're going to get a little bit more than the house is worth based on a professional appraisal. And more importantly, the purchasers are getting the house that they want. And that's key. Sometimes overbidding can really work, but you better have a professional team. Steph, you're hiring some new agents, Michigan Power Brokers. You're building a new team. I know it. And I already can sense it. The hands-on knowledge is so key, because if you're working with the new agent, they don't have someone to rely on like you, a leader, a mentor. It doesn't matter what group you're in out there. There's some great real estate teams out there, but you got to have a leader who knows how to break down the language on a purchase agreement.
So the one thing that I really like about the structure of Michigan Power Brokers, and now that we're choosing to build and add new agents, is first of all, even if you're an experienced agent, there are a lot of experienced agents that weren't really trained. They were just kind of pushed out on their own. They don't know how to even fill out their purchase agreements because they had a transaction coordinator, someone to do it for them. But what I offer is come with me to a listing appointment. Come sit next to me on the computer. Let me teach you how to do all of the things that I do to be successful. And so I'm more hands-on. You go on YouTube and learn your paperwork yourself, on RealComp, learn how to use the new computer system, but come with me and I'm going to teach you how to write everything properly, not get sued, benefit and represent your sellers and buyers to the best of anyone's ability.
Hey, Lisa, a lot of families are looking at that up north property, or even drive down to Kentucky, somewhere in the United States. We do mortgages everywhere. Tell me a little bit about buying that that vacation home. It's as little as 10% down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, homes have been appreciating. Maybe grab that other family friend of yours, maybe that family member, and say, hey, is there any chance that 2 or 3 of us want to go in and maybe buy that second home up north, that vacation home, an opportunity for different families to use it. And again, maybe rent it out, but go in with the idea that you're definitely going to use it. If you go in thinking it's going to be a big money maker for you, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed that way. So again, get that proper knowledge. 248-539-9797. If you want to sneak in a last call here, always call Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Again, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, and we are sponsored by, always powered by, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, equal housing lender. Deal with local lenders and always get the right information. Again, we've been talking about refinancing, guys. Real quick, what's the discount point? I've been quizzing too many people. Maybe I'm too mean. Harry, you always say I'm too mean. I don't know. I want to educate. Many clients have been calling me and asking about interest rate and shopping for this refinance. Very few of them know what a discount point is. I don't know what the analogy is. Is it like buying a car, not knowing the difference between a combustible, a gas running engine and the electric engine? So
no, Harvey, I'll tell you what it is. I had a client yesterday, and this guy's a very intelligent human being.
Yes.
And he was willing to pay money up front to save $22 a month. His payback would have been 5 years, and he plans on moving in 5 years. So I said to him, listen, your return on investment, you're going to hand me X amount of thousands of dollars up front to save $22 a month, and you don't break even until after you move away from the property. Does that sound like something you want to do? Well, once we broke it down and did the math for him, it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, everybody, your brother, mother, sister, father, father-in-law, everybody's going to tell you they can get a better rate. What are they paying for that rate? Okay.
Yes.
There's costs and fees and points. And listen, we'll break it down for you, and we will tell you whether you should pay the money or not. We don't want to take your money.
1-800-LOW-RATE, Capital Mortgage Funding, the best mortgage banker. You can find me there. Only 28 years with Harry and our entire staff, years of experience. And again, deal with local lenders and keep the money right here in our community. And more importantly, deal with real professionals. Stephanie Sacco, we're going to get you tons of buyers and tons of listings. Michigan Power Brokers, thanks a lot for joining us always, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'll be following up on that appraisal on that one file we got too. Don't worry, we'll close it soon enough. Keep it here on 97.1 The Tico. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports.